Hey, everybody. It is officially the beginning of the NBA regular season. There are games going on right now. There are games yesterday, obviously. But tonight, the Orlando Magic open their season against the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to get it started officially here in about 3 minutes at 7:30. I'll play the intro. We'll do all that jazz. But welcome to the Locked On Magic pregame show, a YouTube live exclusive. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe today. We post most of our Locked On Magic podcasts on the YouTube channel, as well as a whole lot more. Tonight, of course, we are here to chat about the Magic taking on the San Antonio Spurs tonight at 8:30. The season openers here, the opening of the 33rd beautiful season of Orlando Magic basketball. We'll talk about what to expect from tonight's game, the things that I'm going to be watching for, the things that I'll be looking for throughout tonight's game. I'll be taking your questions, so please leave them in the chat. I have access to the chat here, so I can see your questions. We're going to get going officially at 7:30, of course. Give people a chance to get into the room here a little bit and start to watch. We're going to try this experimental thing of doing these pregame shows when we can. We'll, of course, have a Locked On Now on as well. You can check that out on social media after the game. I will do a quick 1-minute recap, and we'll have a full episode recapping tonight's game afterward coming up later on tonight as well. Hopefully I'll have that done and in your inboxes in the morning. For those that don't already know, my name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the site expert and editor, Philip Rossman-Reich, the site expert and editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipR_me. Like I said, I'm going to start the show officially at 7:30, but I figured get the stream up, give people the chance to jump in. We'll dive into what the Magic starting lineup means, what we're looking forward to from this starting group, what we're looking forward to from this unit. We'll dive into what to expect as well from tonight's game, the things that I'm looking for, the things that I'm kind of keeping an eye on as we begin to discover who this Orlando Magic team is. I would honestly tell you, throw out the preseason for the most part. It doesn't mean a whole lot. It means a little bit, but not a whole lot. So I would honestly take this game as a completely fresh start. Like I said, I will roll the intro here at 7:30. I've got the Orlando City game on in the background for me as well. Since we're getting ready here for Magic Spurs at 8:30. I'm actually going to head down to the six-man show's watch party at around 8 o'clock at Harry Buffalo. So if you want to hang out a little bit, I'm going to hang out there for the first half. So definitely check that out as well. Probably a little late at this point, unless you're already downtown like I am. Like I said, we're going to get going here officially at 7:30. The Orlando Magic taking on the San Antonio Spurs at 8:30. We'll break it all down coming up in just a moment. So stay tuned, sit tight, and get ready for Orlando Magic basketball once again. Again, the Orlando Magic taking on the San Antonio Spurs tonight at 8:30. We'll get the show on the road. I'm going to tweet out the link one more time for people so they know where to find us. Actually, I'm going to pin that bad boy on my Twitter account. This is how the sausage gets made, folks. This is the beauty of the internet. Let me go ahead and pin this bad boy. Pin to my profile. Pin. I'm going to go ahead and send that link out one more time, and then we will get going officially with the show. So hold on tight one more second. It's time for some Orlando Magic basketball. Hold on tight. All right. And with that, welcome officially to the Orlando Magic Locked On Magic pregame show. The Orlando Magic taking on the San Antonio Spurs. We've got a funky starting lineup. We've got a new coach. We've got so much to get excited for. I'll take your questions. Leave them in the chat. Let's get this show going right now.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is October 20th, 2021, the start of a brand new season for the Orlando Magic. And you're tuned in to our official Locked On Magic pregame show. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the site expert and editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. Today, the Orlando Magic tip off their 33rd season of play against the San Antonio Spurs, their first road opener since 2014. It's been a long time since the Magic had a road opener. I was actually at a sports bar watching that game as well when the Magic lost to the Pelicans so long ago. What I want to do on this pregame show is twofold. Go through the basic news, the starting lineup for tonight's game, what to expect from the game tonight, what I'm watching for, the things that I will be pointing out and looking for as I'm watching the game. I want you to keep an eye on those as well. And also, I want to give you the chance to interact directly with the show. I want to give you the chance to interact directly more with me throughout the course of the year. We're going to be doing Spotify Green Rooms as well as these YouTube Lives, as well as these pregame shows as well when we can. So if you're watching on YouTube, hey, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's brand new. We already got 100 subscribers. We'd like a whole lot more. And drop a line in the chat. Let us know what's going on. Just like Court Cousins, an Orlando Magic podcast, did, saying, pumped about the game. Thanks for hosting. Always glad to do so. You can leave a comment. It'll pop up on the screen just like that when I hit the button that does that. The Orlando Magic, of course, taking on the San Antonio Spurs. And, of course, the big news of the day, the Orlando Magic announced their opening night starting lineup. I will update my Sporkle on that very, very shortly as well. The Orlando Magic announced their starting lineup. It'll be Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, and Mo Bamba. The only big surprise, of course, is Cole Anthony starting for Jalen Suggs. I think we all kind of assumed Suggs would be the starter, but since Suggs missed practice on Friday and Saturday and also missed Wednesday's game, it does seem like the Magic are being a little bit cautious with him, making sure that he's got his conditioning up, making sure that he can get through the course of a game. He did practice in full with the team on Tuesday, but I imagine that practice was fairly light as opposed to a more serious practice that the Magic have had over the course of the last few days and certainly after the preseason officially ended. I don't think that this means that Jalen Suggs is not performing up to standard. Certainly, I think his numbers are a little bit down in preseason. I think the Magic still have very, very high hopes for him. I think I will take Mosley at his word when he said the reason why they made this decision to start this way was because they were trying to rebuild his conditioning, trying to get him back into playing shape and just making sure that he's good to go, making sure that he's ready to play. Mosley did say before the game, just a few minutes ago, actually, that they're going to keep an eye on him during pregame warmups, keep an eye on him, just kind of monitor him a little bit. So maybe a little bit of a minute restriction with him, but I do think that the Magic will be pretty cautious with injuries throughout the whole with all of these guys. I did ask Mosley this specifically, how deep he plans to go into his bench. He said he's going to probably go 9 or 10 guys deep, depending on how the flow of the game goes. So I do think that we will see a fairly kind of free-flowing rotation. I don't think we'll see the 11 guys that like some people might have thought. Certainly with Okeke out, with Isaac still out, with Fultz still out, they're obviously missing some pieces. And so I think right now more guys are going to be kind of in position to make these plays. So the Magic starting lineup, once again, for those that have not heard, it's kind of being proliferated out there. Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner making his first start in his NBA debut, Mo Bamba and Wendell Carter Jr. A lot more to be said about the Wendell Carter Mo Bamba pairing. A really interesting thing that Mosley said during his pregame press conference was that a lot of what they're going to try tonight are groups that they played against San Antonio during the preseason. That was a fairly competitive game. San Antonio started to pull away a little bit in the third quarter. Orlando brought it back in with their starters playing against the Spurs bench players, so take some of it with a grain of salt. But Mosley did say he liked a lot of the lineups that he used during that stretch during that game, and he wanted to make sure that they're using lineups that have played together before. So I do think that is going to be a theme as well. And one of those lineups was the Mo Bamba Wendell Carter lineup. Honestly, I was a little hair skeptical about it. I thought it was something they could try to do, depending on Wendell Carter's ability to extend the floor. But Wendell Carter looked like he could stretch out to the 3-point line, certainly stretch out to the free throw line. That has made that an interesting pairing. And I think, this is sort of like when James Borrego, and I think it'll work a lot better than this, but it's sort of like when James Borrego had the Dwayne Dedmon, Nikola Vucevic lineups out there. I know everyone hated those at the time, but James Borrego was trying to simplify a lot of things for the Orlando Magic at that point. He was trying to simplify the way that the team was running its defense. He put a big emphasis on protecting the paint. So having a shot blocker in Dwayne Dedmon really changed and helped that team protect the paint. Now, they still gave up a ton of threes. They're only 10-20 in those final 30 games with James Borrego as the interim head coach, but their defense was actually pretty good in the paint. They were good at defending the paint. And Orlando's really made, I think, a conscious effort to defend the paint and be a really strong paint defense team. I think that's going to be something that continues on here with the Orlando Magic. That's going to be something that continues on here with Jamal Mosley. That's something that he's going to really want to focus on too. I've got the Orlando City game on in the background. I got to cheer for my Lions as well. I don't have my scarf with me. I should have planned for that. Lions, big game tonight against CF Montreal. Or at the Purple Palace at Exploria Stadium, if you're so inclined to watch that as well. So Wendell Carter, I think, did a really good job adjusting to this. Mo Bamba, I mean, honestly, I think this speaks more to Mo Bamba. This speaks more to how much he's improved, how much trust the Magic are putting in him, how much trust Jamal Mosley puts in him. I think essentially the reason why this lineup exists is to make sure Mo Bamba plays and plays significant minutes. So I think this is really not a statement about Wendell Carter. It's a statement that Wendell Carter can handle playing the power forward position. In San Antonio, it's a bigger team a little bit with their four, so it's a little bit easier for Wendell Carter to handle. I wouldn't want him playing Jason Tatum necessarily at the four, but I think this is really a big statement that Mo Bamba has taken a more serious leap, that his preseason results, which I think this is by far his best preseason. His preseason results are certainly are certainly something a little bit more real than perhaps they're letting on. Let's get to some comments. If you do have a comment, if you do have a question about tonight's game or about anything at all, leave it in the chat. I'm here to answer your questions for the next about 20 minutes or so. Our friends at Court Cousins ask us, place to bet for WCJ over 9.5 rebounds. What do you think about the bet over under 9.5 for WCJ? I think that's a really good bet. San Antonio last year, not the best offensive team. There's going to be a lot of rebounds tonight. Even though Mo Bamba is out on the floor with Wendell Carter, Carter is the better rebounder for my money. So I think he will get his share of rebounds. I think he may get fewer offensive rebounds because he'll be playing a little bit further away from the paint, although Mo Bamba prefers to play away from the paint too. I do think Wendell Carter is going to lead the team in rebounding. Wouldn't surprise me if he ends up leading the team in scoring tonight. As we'll see. I think one of the big questions facing the Orlando Magic tonight is, where does their offense come from? I think that offense is obviously, it's a concern that we've all had about this team. It's a concern that we've all had about this group. They were not a strong offensive group in the preseason. You go look, preseason stats, take it with all the grains of salt that you need to take it with. The Magic's preseason stats, pull them up here. Only 98 points per 100 possessions in the preseason. That's 26th in the league. Like I've been saying, defensive numbers are significantly better in the preseason than they are in the regular season. I think offenses tend to find their rhythm in the regular season, or teams hide their offense or put more emphasis on their defense in the preseason. So I do think offenses will peak up, but still, it's going to be a struggle to score. Cole Anthony's going to have to do a lot of the scoring and creating load. I think that's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Even looking at that starting lineup, Cole Anthony is really the only guy who can take anyone off the dribble. Gary Harris might be able to. I'm a Harris fan, but I'm not completely sold on his ability to take guys off the dribble. That's a big reason why you need Jalen Suggs and Markelle Fultz out there. Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter will be able to spread the floor, but they're not taking anybody off the dribble. So a big thing to watch out tonight is, how do the Magic get in the paint? How do the Magic create those paint touches? How do the Magic collapse the defense? Franz Wagner is great at cutting. That could be a way to get things done. They could leave that lane open, let him kind of cut and see how San Antonio plays him. But it's going to be a real struggle, I think, to get in the paint tonight. So some of the offense, especially early on, could be a little bit hectic. Orlando is going to really have to focus in on their transition opportunities and playing their defense. If they play strong defense, that should enable them to get quality, get better matchups offensively, able to flow naturally into their offense, and get easier shots, frankly. I know that is a big emphasis for the Magic, to get out and transition more, to get better quality shots that way as well. There's obviously a lot for the Magic to get into, a lot for the Magic to dive into here in this game. And the offense is going to be a real struggle. I think there will be nights this year where the defense plays fine, but the offense just lets them down. And the Magic, are giving up a lot of transition. They're not able to get their defense set. I would hope that the Magic are a solid team when their defense is set, and then we'll figure out how to create offense a little bit later on, especially when some of these guys get back into the fold. Defensively, though, I do think the Magic are going to be a really good defensive team. Again, preseason stats, take them for what they are. In the preseason, the Magic finished 11th in defensive rating, giving 102.5 points per 100 possessions. Remember, they were up at around 111, 114 last year. So yeah, that would be a significant improvement, even if they got to like 105, 106 there for defensive rating. Again, I think the goal for the Magic, if there is a statistical goal to have for the Magic this year, I would like to see them finish in the top half of the league in defense. The Magic have gone kind of out of their way not to put expectations on the season, not to put predictions on this season. They've gone out of their way not to say we're going to the playoffs, not to say all these things. I'll make one big prediction here. I will make one big goal that I want to see the Magic accomplish. I want to see the Magic finish in the top half of the league in defensive rating. I will even accept 16th or 17th. Stay out of that bottom 10. I'm hedging myself. I want to see the Magic in the top half of the league in defensive rating. That's what this team wants to be about. If we want to see that this team has a future, has this potential to be this kind of a team, see an identity, it's going to show up statistically. An identity is going to show up somewhere. Who this team is. Last year, they were bad at everything. Be good at something. Even if the offense is so bad, it isn't enough. Be good at something, or show signs that you can be good at something. Defense is the big thing. And I know people hate that. I know people are tired of these defensive focused teams. They want shooters. They want better offense. And I agree completely with that. The Magic have to address their offense at some point. Jalen Suggs hopefully will do that. Marco Fultz should help. I think Jonathan Isaac can help too. But it's going to be interesting to see this group. Defense is the thing. And honestly, tonight, my big focus is on the defensive end. I want to see the Magic get down and defend. I want to see them defend with the ferocity and the pressure and the intensity that they defended in the preseason. If they do that, they have a really good chance to be a really solid team and to have a quote unquote successful season. I'm curious, what do you guys want to see from this Magic team tonight? What are your expectations for this evening? What do you want to see? What questions do you have? Be sure to leave them in the chat. I see a few people here watching the show. Always feel free to ask questions. I am here to answer your questions, whether we're doing it here on this YouTube show or online. Always drop me a line. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to interact with you guys. I crowdsource. I listen to you guys. I find story ideas from what you guys are talking about. So I'm not ashamed to say that. You give me ideas for things that I try to explore a little bit more because I have the time. It's my job to explore these things. So definitely feel free to drop a line here in the chat. We'll get into more about this game coming up in just a moment. Quickly from the chat, our friends again at Court Cousins say the game is a total of 2 12.5s. I bet the under, but I am second guessing myself after hearing your co-podcast episode with Locked On Spurs. Young teams moving fast, lots of possessions. We say that, but even though both these teams are going to put an emphasis on getting up and down the court or want to speed up their play, Greg Popovich teams, even when they're playing at a fast pace, usually play low-pace games. In fact, even the Magic's preseason game against the Spurs was a low-pace game. I think it was in the upper 90s. It didn't even hit 100. The Magic, during the preseason, were actually one of the slowest teams in the league by pace per 48, possessions by 48 minutes. So again, just because teams want to go up and down, back and forth, yeah, there could be a few more possessions, but as much as the Spurs and Magic both say they want to be in transition, I think the teams still want to play under control. If this game gets too hectic, too back and forth like that, I think that hurts the Magic. The Magic need to get their defense set. I think they're better off when their defense is set. These are both also not very strong offensive teams. There aren't star players. There aren't guys that can take over games. Now, DeJounte Murray is certainly a very, very good player. I would peg DeJounte Murray as probably the best player in this game currently. Derek White can put up some baskets, but honestly, like, who's scoring? Like, these are not going to be two stellar offensive teams. So yes, fast break points I think could really be a determinant in this game. I think the Magic will be happy to give up mid-range jumpers, and it'll be interesting to see if the Spurs take those mid-range jumpers, or if the Spurs are still a strong mid-range jumping team as they have been historically. But I am actually expecting a lower scoring game. I put my prediction up on OrlandoMagicDaily.com. My prediction was Spurs 104, Magic 99. I am expecting not a grinded out game. I think there will be tempo. I think the teams will both get up and down the court. But I am expecting a game where both teams really lock in defensively. That's what both of these teams are about, is their defense. That's where they're going to make their money. That's where they're going to make their hay this season. And so I do think that we're going to see the Magic, again, really lock in defensively. We'll see both teams really lock in defensively as well. And we'll see if we'll see who comes out on top, which team can muster up enough points to win the game. Again, I think it's going to be really interesting. Again, just because you're playing fast-paced up-tempo does not mean you're getting a lot of possessions. It can lead to a little bit of a hectic game. I don't know who that's going to – I don't think that would benefit the Magic. I just don't think they have the poise to kind of handle that. But I will say this. Now that Jalen Suggs is coming off the bench, think about this bench lineup for the Magic. You've got Suggs, Hampton, Ross. They'll probably end up playing Moritz Wagner a little bit at the 4 if they go 10-man, and Robin Lopez. So that second unit, I think, is going to play a lot faster than that first unit. Again, I think we'll see some mixing and matching. I think we'll see Franz Wagner play a little bit at the 4. I think we'll see Carter slide over to the 5 a little bit. So, if you're talking about who the 9th or 10th man is, Moritz Wagner is probably going to play a little bit. I'm not a big Moritz Wagner fan. I didn't like his minutes so much during the preseason. But it'll be interesting to see how the Magic manage this with Suggs coming off the bench. I think that second unit's going to be really, really interesting to watch with Suggs, Ross, and Hampton, especially playing together. Although I think we'll see again some mixing and matching. I don't think it'll be so set in stone. We're coming up we're just a little bit quarter past the hour here. We're going to go for another 10 minutes or so here. So if you have any questions that you want answered about tonight's game, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Again, this is all about interactivity. This is all about getting with you guys and answering your questions. I'm watching the Orlando City game behind me as well. I'm actually going to be heading out to watch the first half away from my computer. I'll be back in my chair for the second half to watch the rest of this game, and of course break it all down on Locked On Magic as well as on OrlandoMagicDaily.com after it's over. I want to know what your predictions are. What predictions do you have for the game? What predictions do you have for the season? Feel free to drop them again in the chat as you would like. Again, I think, and this is a point that I'm probably going to bring up and dive into a little bit deeper on the podcast tomorrow, for Friday's episode. The big thing that I'm interested in, I've kind of told this to some of my colleagues in the media. It's really hard to know what the right questions to ask right now for the Magic are, because so much of it is new. We haven't seen this team play a real game yet. Jamal Mosley, I think is such an interesting and fascinating character for this team. And we talked about it a lot with Jacques Vaughn. I call Jacques Vaughn sort of the original sin of the Magic's rebuild, because he wasn't the right coach. He didn't prepare this team. He didn't have this team in the right mindset. I'm watching Jamal Mosley very, very closely this year. I think so far he's done a really good job. I think creating the bell and making bell plays is a great way to get the team in the right mindset and create little mini victories, small victories for the team to kind of build from when they may not get a lot of wins over the course of the season. So I think that's really, really a really, really fascinating thing that he's done, and a way to keep his team motivated and engaged, even with the expectation that there's probably not going to be a lot of wins coming up this season. So I'm really interested in, if I'm asking a lot of questions, if I'm focused a lot on kind of these big picture culture things, it's because I think Jamal Mosley is such a central figure now to what the Magic are trying to build. And again, it's a little bit of a risk taking that in a first-year head coach, but certainly the Magic had to do it with someone. Let's get to some of your comments here. Marlon Coleman says, you think Cole Anthony going for more than 20 points tonight? I don't think the Magic are going to have anyone score more than 20 tonight. I think we'll probably see Cole settle in at like 15, 16. I think Ross will be at like 17, 18 points. I think we'll see Carter up around 15, 16. I think it's going to be very, very balanced. I think all year the Magic are going to be very, very balanced scoring-wise. There's just no one great scorer. And so, yeah, Cole Anthony will probably have 1 or 2 games. He's got a tough matchup tonight with DeJounte Murray and Derek White. Both are very good defenders. Both are bigger than him. So he's going to have his work cut out for him. But we're going to see just how good Cole Anthony got over the offseason, how much his improvements really paid off. I know he really worked hard on his three-point shooting, and I'm expecting him to be a lot more efficient from the three-point line this year as well. So Cole Anthony is a really good player to keep an eye on tonight, especially coming into the starting role. Honestly, I've been kind of thinking about this. Cole Anthony just feels like the team's veteran, which is weird to say because it's his second year. He has a lot of poise about him, and I was really impressed with how he finished his season last year. I thought that he played with a lot more poise and control, and I think that's going to be really, really key to tonight's game. Our friend at Court Cousins says, T. Ross, high score tonight, season vet. I'm hoping his back is all the way feeling better. Certainly Terrence Ross going to be at the top of the scouting report for the San Antonio Spurs. They know that he is extremely dangerous. Really interested to see him play along Jalen Suggs. I know they played a little bit during the course of the season, but having a passer like Jalen Suggs, Jalen Suggs' passing was really impressive. So whatever minutes Ross gets with Jalen Suggs is going to be very, very interesting. I'm actually going to check my phone to make sure that Jalen Suggs is still active. They actually just posted the active list here. You can see it, maybe. I don't know. You can see it there. Pretty much. Yeah, the guys that we expect are inactive: Carter Williams, Fultz, Isaac Okiki inactive. Moore is even active, although he will not play in tonight's game. So, yeah, it looks like the Magic will play. The Magic have 12 guys on their active list. Each one Moore's out. So Moritz Wagner and Ignas Brazdeikis are your two guys that are probably going to be out of the rotation when it comes to tonight's game. Noel Vargas posts, which youngster does Mo trust in the most? I think that's the big question. Again, we're still learning so much about Jamal Mosley. We're still learning so much about the way that he wants to operate things, the way that he wants to carry his team, the way that he wants to build his team up. We're still learning so much about him and about this team and this group. So I can't say who he trusts the most right now. I think there's a lot of trust in Jalen Suggs. And I think tonight, him not starting tonight is more about him just kind of getting him healthy and getting his reps down. I think he probably trusts Markelle Fultz a lot. We'll find that. We'll find out about that when Markelle Fultz comes back, I suppose. I think there's a lot of trust in Cole Anthony. I think he likes the way that Cole Anthony carries himself and the way that Cole Anthony approaches the game and approaches the enthusiasm that he's brought to the game. Wendell Carter, I think, has probably got a lot of trust too. I think it takes a lot of guts to move Wendell Carter to the 4, and you only do that if you trust that he can handle it. This is a position that Wendell Carter's played before, but we've all considered him a center. We all consider him his best spot as a center. To play him sort of out of position the way that he has, and to trust that he can accomplish what needs to be accomplished at the 4, it's probably Wendell Carter. And Wendell Carter's going to be his best defender this year, or his best interior defender this year. I think there's a lot of trust in Wendell Carter. And so I would answer this question and say Jamal Mosley probably trusts Wendell Carter the most among his young players. But then again, I will say this. I think he trusts Mo Bamba. He would not start Mo Bamba if he did not trust him. If there was not an implicit trust that, hey, this guy can play, this guy can help us win, this guy can this guy gives us the best chance to accomplish our goals and to be the team that we want to be. So again, we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. Luis Medina coming in here asks, are you surprised by the starting lineup? I am not surprised. I was talking with my pal Luke Hetrick from Spectrum Sports 360 yesterday about it. I kind of said that I would have started Jalen Suggs if everyone that is healthy is healthy. I would have probably started Jalen Suggs. But again, if he's not ready to go, if he's got some conditioning issues, if he's got to kind of get himself back, if he's, still a little bit under the weather, I understand bringing him off the bench. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad decision. I was always going to start Gary Harris, whether it was at the 2 or the 3. I was open to the idea of starting Cole and Jalen together. I was open to the idea of RJ at the 3 instead of Franz Wagner. But ultimately, I'm not so surprised that Franz Wagner started. I definitely had Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba starting together after it was so successful during the preseason. So I am definitely very, very interested to see how this group plays and what this all means. Again, wins and losses are important, but not the only thing that matters for this group anymore. So I am intrigued to see how it all comes together. And again, the decisions Jamal Mosley makes are going to be critical for this team and critical for the beginning of this rebuild. Again, he's talked about a lot. He's setting the foundation for this team. He's setting the foundation for the kind of team that he wants to build, and the kind of team that he wants to be. That starts tonight. So we need to see the defense. The defense has to be the thing. If the defense is good, the result, I'd like to win. I'd like to win. I always like to win. But the defense has to be what this team is centered on. Again, like I said, I want to see this team finish in the top half of the league in defensive rating. If they do that, they're going to surprise a lot of people for sure. But I want to see them flirting with it at the very, very least, if not getting there all the way. Continue to go through the chat here. Noel Vargas, again, asking us, we always talk about likely trading away T. Ross or Harris. What are we looking for back? It's still early in the season to know exactly what to look for. Harris will be more difficult to trade because he's a free agent at the end of the year. So I would be looking for some draft capital, essentially anything you can get. If I can get a young guy or a second draft player, second draft meaning a rookie that has just not worked out where he is, and so he's getting a second opportunity somewhere. If I could get a young player and a little bit of draft capital in return for Gary Harris, I'd be more than happy. That's assuming Gary Harris is what he was last year and not what I think he can be this year. Maybe that price goes up. With T. Ross, since he does have an extra year left on his contract, I would want to get a rotation caliber player. I would want to get someone that can help this team grow and build to what they want to be, but also some future draft capital as well. The big thing with any transaction, and this is going to be a point I'm going to make throughout the course of the season, the big thing with any transaction, anything the Magic do, I want to see them continue to set up their future. I think I've said this several times now. My goal for the Magic this season, besides getting in the top half of the league in defensive rating or being in the top half of the league in defensive rating, my goal for the Magic coming out of this season is to have an understanding of who this team is, who this team wants to be, and what this team needs to get to that next level. So again, looking at all these young players, I need to see the outline of a playoff team. I don't need to see a playoff team. I just need to see the outline of a playoff team. What does this team look like when they're winning? And then how do we get to that team? What players don't fit what we're trying to do, aren't working out, or aren't quite what we're looking for in those positions? Bringing in players that are going to be part of this team's future. I don't think you should be wasting time. Yes, okay, maybe if you trade out Terrence Ross, he's $12.5 million salary. You bring in a $12.5 million player that's expiring that you don't care about. That's fine. Make sure you're bringing in players that will be part of this team's future, that will be part of the team's vision for what they want to become, and part of who this team ultimately wants to be. That's what matters. That's what's important for this Orlando Magic squad. That's what's important for this team and their development. Give me a pathway forward. Give me a pathway. Give me a sense and a sign of what this team is supposed to be when it's all said and done. When the Magic are competing for a playoff spot, competing for the, not necessarily competing for a championship, but taking that next step. Bring me players that are going to fit that vision. Now, obviously, the Magic need shooting. They need better defenders still. They need a whole lot of things. It's a little hard to define right now. Frankly, we got to watch these games. So much, I'm a big game guy. You see how much time I devote to games in the podcast, on the website. I'm a big game guy. I like the games. They give me data points. They give me an understanding of what's going on. The beginning of the season is exciting for me because I have no clue what this team's going to look like. I have no clue the right questions to ask yet. So I can't really answer that question quite yet, Noel, or Noel. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I can't quite answer that question yet because I don't know what this team has. I know what I'm looking for, but I don't know exactly what skills are necessary for what we're looking for. We are at 8:00. The Orlando Magic pregame show on Bally Sports Florida is getting set to begin. I want to thank you all for joining this experiment with YouTube Live, our pregame show here on Locked On Magic. We'll have a replay. I'll put that on the Facebook page as well as on our Twitter accounts. It'll, of course, be dated by the end of the game. But I appreciate everyone who joined us here for the Locked On Magic pregame show. Again, you can get a complete recap of tonight's game over on OrlandoMagicDaily.com. I'll be tweeting as well at OMagicDaily. You can also get a complete recap of the game on Locked On Magic tomorrow. It'll hopefully be in your mailboxes or in your inboxes in the morning as well. Got a couple quick questions that I do want to get to. Let me drop my captions here. Sorry. I was trying to close out. Luis Medina asks, what do you think the WCJ extension means for Bamba? I don't think it means anything. The fact the Magic are willing to start Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba together shows that they at least have some inkling that they can play together a little bit. Wendell Carter earned his extension, I think. I don't think it was crazy for the Magic to extend him. Mo Bamba hasn't. Mo Bamba's got to play on the floor to earn his keep in this league, but I do think that he will be an interesting trade piece as well toward the trade deadline as well. Shannon Thomas asks us here, you only want the Magic to take back someone who's part of the future. I would be down with using space for contracts that are not the best for picks. Picks are part of the future. I don't think you should be giving away any of these players. Gary Harris, if you give him away, that's okay. That's kind of like what the Evan Fournier did. The Magic have a good stash of picks already. To be frank, they do have a really nice stash of picks. They own all their own picks. They've got the Chicago pick. They've got the Denver pick. They've got a few other picks. I don't necessarily agree with the Sam Presti style of bringing in all these draft picks. It's nice. It's theoretically really good. But at the end of the day, you got to spend these draft picks on players. The Magic roster is already getting kind of full. Getting back to that Mo question, the only thing that the Carter extension means for Mo Bamba is that the Magic now have less money to spend on Mo Bamba. They want to keep some financial flexibility. They want to keep some cap flexibility. And while they have so much cap room, a Mo Bamba extension at even $10 million is probably a drop in the bucket. It eats a little bit of that cap room. Now, I don't think the Magic will be playing free agency anytime soon. I think their best path is trade. So I think getting these middling contracts, as long as those players are productive and growing, are good investments. That's why I love the Wendell Carter deal, especially on the declining contract. Like, great job, Jeff Weltman. But I don't think picks are necessarily the way to go. Now, if that's what's available, that helps your future too. So don't get me wrong. You want to have a good cache of chips to spend. So again, we'll see what the market looks like. I'm not going to go crazy over it right now because, the market doesn't open until December. The trade deadline's not until February. We got a lot of basketball to play before that. With that in mind, I'm going to close up shop here again. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at @OMagicDaily as well as at @PhilipR_OMD for the latest throughout the game tonight. You can also check us out on Twitter at Locked On Magic. Be sure to subscribe wherever you download podcasts. And also be sure, if you haven't already, you're already here, subscribe to our YouTube page. We'll be doing shows just like this one throughout the course of the season, as well as other live interactive shows. And of course, all of our episodes are available on YouTube as well. That's going to do it for me today, though. That's going to do it for me for now. We'll see you all on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll have a complete recap of tonight's game against the San Antonio Spurs. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again for another episode of Locked On Magic. Enjoy the game, everybody. Welcome to the 2021-2022 season.